Well, welcome everyone. We're so thankful to have you here today for our workshop on MSU Partners for Broader Impacts. And we are very thankful to Miles McNall and everyone at University Outreach and Engagement for making today's session possible. And to our presenters, who you will hear from in a little bit and get a chance to interact with them today. Thank you to them for being here. And thank you to all of you for choosing to spend some time with us this afternoon and learn more about how we can work with you on your broader impacts projects. Before we go any further, I'd like to note also that today's program is being recorded. All right, so we're going to begin first. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'll introduce our presenters for today. My name is Denice Blair, and I'm the Director of Education at the MSU Museum, the University Science and Culture Museum. And so I will go down through our list of presenters and then the overview for today. So today we have with us Zach Constan from Frib, Brad Fingland from Spartan Innovations, Shannon from Abrams Planetarium, Erika Toby from MSU Extension, Michelle Word from Broad Art Museum, and I will be representing the museum when we go into our session and other things that we're going to be doing with you today. All right, so the plan for today is to have a chance for you to meet all of us on campus who do a lot of work with people with broader impacts. Also, I will be doing a short introduction about broader impacts so that you can hear a little bit more about what broader impacts are, just in case you're not familiar with those, or maybe you might have some basic questions that hopefully can be answered there. Then each of the presenters for today will have a chance to introduce you to their work in very quickly, 5 or 6 minutes. And then we're going to do something fun, which is new for this year. And we were just talking about how much fun we hope this will be. We're going to be doing breakout or speed dating sessions for you to have a chance to go into breakout rooms and talk with the individual presenters, listen in on conversations with others, and hopefully get some really great ideas for programs and other kinds of things that you might like to do for broader impacts. And then at the end, we'll have a wrap up and a chance for us to come back together and do a little Q&A. Right, so that is the plan. And what I'll do now is jump directly into some of the basic information about broader impacts. So broader impacts have been established by the National Science Foundation and other federal agency grants to potentially advance, because these have the potential to advance knowledge and benefit society through what they call broader impacts. So this is a way that you can share your work with the public and to be sure that what you're doing is being communicated to a wider audience. So broader impacts are required, and they're very important component of proposals. And they're one of the 2 merit criteria by which your proposal is going to be evaluated. So it's possible to meet this requirement in different ways. So you can use broader impacts. It can be the research itself that you would be doing in your project. It can be activities that are directly related to your specific research project, or it could be activities that are supported by but are complementary to your project. So that's just a little bit about it. And there are numerous places online, starting with NSF and other different websites where you can go and learn more about the basics of broader impacts. But let's think now a little bit about why they're so important. I already said a little bit about how it allows you to communicate what you're doing with the public, which is very important. We are all thinking about science communication and how we can make what we're doing accessible to a broader audience. So broader impacts really allow you to do that. But they require close attention, proper planning, and creative thinking. So there are lots of ways that you can do broader impacts, and you're going to hear a lot about that today. Definitely, right now, don't limit your thinking about what might be possible. Today is all about expanding your ideas, opening your mind to what you could do and ways that you could be creative with the partners that are going to be meeting with you and sharing some options. Another thing that we like to mention to people is the importance of not waiting. Many faculty members leave their broader impacts planning until the end of the submission process, which really does not work well. If you want to be more successful in what you're doing, it's very important that you start early in the process so that your project doesn't seem just tacked on or just added in at the last minute, that it's something very central to what you're doing, and that the people who are reviewing your grant application will see that. So that very early connection is important. And today is a really good first step in that, where you'll be meeting people on campus, hearing about some of the options, and being able to start thinking about what you might like to do for your next project. So this good planning will be an essential part of your grant application, and it can really make the difference in being awarded or not awarded. They're really, NSF and other agencies are taking this seriously. So the more that you can do to help strengthen this portion of your application, the better you will be when it comes to the application review process. So now, what do broader impact partners do? Well, you're in luck. This is what the session today is all about. We are here to help you. We're here to work with you and share the benefit of our experience, what we've done. And today you'll be able to learn about how all of these partners can help you develop a project that fits your proposal and your research. So it's very important that you think about the ways that you want to communicate, the best way that you might want to do that, come up with different options, find something that you're very comfortable doing. And that makes sense for your project, so that it's not, oh, you heard that your colleague did this with the Abrams Planetarium, and perhaps that was the very best thing for that colleague to do. Maybe it's not the best option for you. Maybe Abrams can help you do something slightly different that makes more sense for you. So working through that and having the opportunity, again, starting early, gives you the chance to really connect with the partners and think about what makes the most sense for your project. The other thing that's important to think about is the fact that if you get this grant from NSF, you're going to be working on this for a while, multiple years. So it makes sense to think about a broader impacts project that's going to really capture your imagination, and then it's going to be meaningful for you and your team, and that you're going to get excited about this right now through the application process, and as you're working together, that you'll be able to share and work together on something that's going to keep you excited for the next 3 to 5 years. So one of the things that we do recommend is that you think about that and work together with your team and pull in their interests, pull in the different aspects of the project that might be most meaningful for you. And then, of course, the partners will help support you with their experience and their resources. There will be, as you'll hear, a lot of years represented, many projects represented. Folks at MSU have been doing this a long time, and they have experience that they can share with you with not only the successes from people before you, but maybe some challenges that other people have had, where they can help you avoid mistakes. So this is also a good thing to benefit from the experience and also the resources. So the different units, the people that you hear from today, they all have different sets of resources that they could bring to you, unique things that might not be available from other places, either on campus or even off campus. So it's important for you to think about what kind of resources that this partnership could help you leverage. Another important piece is being able to design a budget that works with your overall plan. There are many ways that you can meet your requirements for broader impacts. It can be a smaller project, something smaller in scale. It can be something large in scale and very, with a price tag that goes with it. So there are different budgets that you would need to design. And again, these partners have experience in doing that. They can work with you to be realistic about what it's going to take to create your project. A lot of times, if you're doing something that's unfamiliar to you, like from my experience, people thinking about working with a museum, what does it actually take to produce the things that you might like to do as part of your project? And then finally, the partners can work with you throughout the application process and during the whole project if you are awarded. So it truly is a partnership. It's a relationship that's going to last through this process, and you will work together to help make this portion of your grant project a success. All right, so those are some really good tips. The next thing is, how do you identify and work with your broader impacts partner? Well, today is a great opportunity. You can participate today, you can listen, you can get to know some of the people, you can go to the breakout sessions, and talk to people individually, get their contact information and think about how you might get in contact with them after today and start talking. Also talk to your colleagues. Ask them, who have you worked with? Who are great people on campus that are maybe doing some innovative things? So talk to your colleagues, find out what they're doing and build upon that. And then of course, follow up with the potential partners, whether it's someone from the group today or someone else on campus or someone else in the community. Follow up with these partners, give yourself different kinds of options, give yourself a way to work with people and say, you know, this is the direction that I would like to go. How can I get there? Maybe there are different paths that different partners could help you think about and help you shape your project as you move forward. The last little bit of advice is to be creative. Be open to these ideas, unique projects that you might not have thought about before. Ways that, you know, we all think science communication, there are certain ways that you do things, or, you know, this is what in my discipline, this is the way that we engage with the public. This is the way that we do outreach. If you engage with a different partner, or maybe you have some exploration into different creative ideas, you might come up with something that's very unique. And again, speaking from experience, I have heard people who have received NSF grants say when, you know, at different times when they propose something unique, often it's very well received by NSF. So unique opportunities sometimes can be a benefit to you. That's not to say that the tried and true isn't fine, but again, making sure that what you're doing matches well with what you have in mind for your project is always best. And then of course your partner is going to stay connected with you throughout the process, as I said. So this is a relationship that hopefully will build. And we've had partners at the museum we've worked with on multiple things. So hopefully if you meet people, if you get to know people and work in this community on campus, you'll have a chance to build those relationships and to move forward. And then interestingly, be in a position to mentor others too, in your department or your college, being able to, even in your own smaller lab groups, be able to mentor people and help them move forward as they are creating their own proposals. So that is a brief overview of the broader impacts and what it means to connect with the partners here today. So hopefully that was helpful to you. And now we're going to have a chance to meet these wonderful people, and you'll get a chance to learn more about their work. So we will begin now with our first presenter, and I will let him introduce himself and his unit to you. Here is Zach.
Thanks, Denice. It's a pleasure to be with my friends and colleagues here at MSU as usual. I'm the outreach coordinator for Frib, Facility for Rare Isotope Beams. I know it looks like Frib. It's pronounced Frib. Okay, and you've probably gotten some emails from President Stanley about this recently. It's a big deal, and we're very close to like starting up the new accelerator. Our lab has been around on campus a long time. Decades and decades, but we're about to start up this new accelerator and become the best rare isotope facility in the world. And if you don't know what that means, that's okay, because my job is to explain it to you. And I hope that you'll come visit us sometime and learn more about it. You're not hearing this from me because it's not officially announced yet. But on Saturday, April 23rd, there will be a public event like an open house that you could come by and learn more about the laboratory. So you didn't hear it from me though. Anyway, point is, I'm a little different maybe from some of the other guests here today. I'm more on the supply side. Usually I'm finding partners to get our content out there in lots of different ways. So I've worked with a lot of the people you'll hear from, which is great. And I'm happy to talk to you about my experience. But of course, I've had lots of people come to me as well, asking, like how to do, how to go forward with their broader impacts ideas, because we have a lot of experience. I've been doing this 15 years. We've got a ton of faculty here doing interesting things. So this is just a list of the things that we have done. We have a wonderful lab. We do tours. Of course, we love getting people in, and we've been doing virtual tours as well lately, which has been fun. I did mention open house, which is part of the Science Festival, which of course is going on now. Love using the Science Festival as an outlet for our content. Boy, you just can't get any better because they have so much of an audience that we love. So like when you talk about coming up with new ideas and new ways to get your content out there. We've had a lot of really great success. I feel very lucky because we've been able to work with, of course, Shannon and the planetarium, and she's going to tell you more about that. And I've been able to, do some stuff for 4-H, but like we work together with Impression 5 to create an entirely new exhibit. You got to go over there and see this exhibit. If you want to smash things, you just can't find a better place to do so. And of course, we did find some lovely student developers over in the Gel Lab in ComArts. They made a video game about our research. And so, if you've got the funding for that, highly recommended because they do great work. Really, you can load up any of their games. It's great work. And, in more recent years, right now, we're working on 2 projects, basically a documentary about FRIB and the opening of the new accelerator, which will be, of course, a monumental event. And we've been working with dance performers for years, and there will be performances at the Wharton Center in November about nuclear science and research at FRIB. We're always looking for new ways to do this, right? Like, hey, there's a lot of people out there. Maybe they're interested in dance and they would never think twice about nuclear science. It was a shock to me too, but they exist. And so I want to reach them in any way I can. So we're coming up with something new. It's a very exciting time. So that's a great website if you want to learn more about our lab. But again, my job is to make sure you know. And I'm looking forward to talking to you more about the various ways we've done things and things you might be able to do. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Zach. That was a great introduction, and we're so excited about what's happening over there. It's been a long road, I know, moving toward this opening. So great chance for people to get in there and see what's there. So how exciting for all of us at MSU. All right. Our next presenter is Brad Fingland from Spartan Innovations. So Brad.
Hello, everyone. I'm from Spartan Innovations. I'm the director of venture creation. A lot of folks haven't heard of us, so I thought I'd spend just a minute or two explaining who we are. Spartan Innovations is part of the MSU Foundation. The MSU Foundation is a research foundation. It's actually outside the university. But what we're charged with doing is helping translate technologies from the university. And also we help in economic development. There's a lot of things that we do. And as part of the foundation, there's a number of subsidiaries. There's investment, venture capital that helps in translating technologies. There's a real estate group that does like lab space. And then there's Spartan Innovations, my group that focuses on startup creation or venture creation. And what we try to do is we try to help researchers, faculty, postdocs who have high-tech ideas that are looking to start a business. I guess it doesn't have to be high-tech, but ideas that want to start a business. And we have lots of tools that we can use to help folks at the university start those businesses. I listed off a number of them here. One of the biggest tools that I have is a program we call Entrepreneurs in Residence, and we're starting another sister program, Mentor in Residence. The EIR, Entrepreneur in Residence, is I have the power to hire somebody as a contractor that can act as a CEO for a startup company. So this is a great tool for a faculty member who does not want to quit their day job. I don't recommend quitting your day job to start a business, but we can help facilitate having somebody, at least 20 hours a week working on a startup company. So that's a really great tool. And when you start thinking about what does this have to do with broader impacts, there's a lot of opportunities out there where there's a commercial track for technology development. Where does the technology go after you do your core R&D? If you have a solid plan for how to translate that technology out into the world, that can make a more compelling case for funding. One of the things that we have helped at in the past is NSF has a PFI grant mechanism, Partnerships for Innovation. I believe it's one investigator per university can submit it per cycle. So you have to get approval from the university, but it's focused on commercialization. There's two tracks, the technology translation track, and then there's a research partnership grant track. And so we've been involved in, I think we're 3 for 3 in terms of getting funding with those grants, which is a great opportunity. And what we do is we help put together business plans or business model, help think about how can we make the research that you're doing a commercial opportunity or commercially viable opportunity. There's a lot of things that I have on this page. I'm happy to go through any of them. The other big tool before I hand it over that we use when working with faculty is something called the NSF I-Corps program, and we help support folks that go through that program. The I-Corps program is focused on customer discovery. So you go out and you talk to customers. The non-intuitive thing is when you talk to your customers, you don't actually talk about your research. You talk about their problems. And so that is not always something, a lot of folks, they go into sales pitch mode when talking to customers. You don't even talk about your product when you're talking to a customer. So we will help, we'll supply like a mentor in residence, somebody that can be on your team in the I-Corps program. But there's a lot of tools. Happy to talk to them about those tools in the breakout session. So thanks.
Thank you, Brad. That was very interesting to hear about the breadth of what you're doing there. That sounds like there's a lot of opportunity. All right, next we have Shannon Schmall from Abrams Planetarium.
Hi, everyone. I have a lot of pictures because I like pictures. I'm going to start with sort of an overview of different types of partnerships that we've done at the planetarium, just to give you a sense of what we can do. Not all of these have necessarily been broader impacts, but all of these could be something that could be designed into a broader impact section. So this is just a handful of the ones that I found pictures for quickly, and we've done somewhat recently. We have a lot more examples of that. All of these utilize our Digistar 6 planetarium system, which is a digital planetarium system, which gives us a lot of license to be creative within our space. So if you've never been here before, even if you have, we are known for astronomy. That's what planetariums are. We have the word planet in our name, right? But we can do so much more than astronomy. We often tie in astronomy anyway, but we don't have to do that. We really are an immersive digital theater. So we have a dome with 141 seats that we can project onto, and we can project a lot of different things from 360-degree photographs, simulations of the universe. We can bring in art in order to recreate a different environment that's maybe a little that's not a photograph really. And so just to give a sense of some of the ways that we have partnered, we've worked with WKAR to do Moonfest. So we've done a lot of great planetarium shows and activities in our lobby for an event. We've worked with faculty around Chaco Canyon and using 360-degree photographs to help immerse people in what that site is like and to learn about the art history there. Over here, can you see my mouse? I don't know if you can see my mouse. Okay, on the left, we have Alex Dixon, who's a biochemist, and he has, thank you, he has some really fantastic simulations of proteins and molecules that he can actually export as full dome images that we were able to help create a talk for him, and that project has gone into broader impacts grants. We've done talks around how birds navigate using the North Star, because apparently they do. I didn't know that, and I had a lot of fun learning about that. We have a collaboration with Denice over at the MSU Museum. We created, this isn't even the planetarium necessarily, but we created a curriculum that combined urban planning with the science of Mars for kids to build their own cities on Mars. And that's something that we worked on quite extensively, and it's now available, but that was a much larger project that we would be happy to work with folks on. The picture on the bottom right corner is actually a friend of mine visiting amazing when we hosted a conference, but that is with a Mae Jemison standee of an astronaut where you put your face through. But that was done in collaboration with faculty and their students in order to develop new activities and exhibits for our lobby. So our lobby is also fair game for any type of partnerships. And then sort of right in the middle, you'll see the Living in Balance Anishinaabe Star Knowledge. We just created a planetarium show that efforts were led by faculty on campus who are Anishinaabe around creating a planetarium show. So our role was to really put that together and write all the software or the scripts behind the scenes to make the planetarium show. And we did that for a relatively small amount of money, but the art was all provided by our partners, and we were able to work together to create what is a great show that's currently in community previews for the Indigenous community, and then we will be bringing that to the public in the fall. So these are just an overview of what we've done. A lot of these things have used either visualizations or art from other people, or we've also combined 360-degree photography, and we have those cameras. We have a lot of different versions that we can lend out. And never tell me that you're traveling someplace interesting if you don't want me to give you a camera. People have done this, and they might have learned their lesson. So this is just a variety, but I know Zach already mentioned this. If we can go to the next slide. Thanks, Denise. One of our most successful projects that was indeed a broader impact section of a grant was creating a virtual tour of the FRIB. So Zach does these really amazing, wonderful tours of FRIB, of the NSCL before that. And the thing is, sometimes you have larger groups and they can't fit in on the tours, or maybe something isn't open all the time because experiments are running. And so this was sort of an option to help reach more people and use the immersive nature of the planetarium to support that. And so you can see that we combine different things. So on the right hand there, you see a 360-degree photo that we took using a very lovely special camera that we brought with the grant. So we got some hardware that is now useful across campus, really. And as seen in our planetarium, we also use 3D models of the experiments that we put on the dome. So we are able to import those. We had to make them far smaller than they were because they had like individual nuts and bolts on them. So we're like, no, we do not need that. And then we also, on the leftmost side there is from an animation of the nuclei actually smashing into each other. And this was also, at least the original incarnation of this was done by a student of ours who's gone on to work in planetariums now. Like that's become his career, and that experience really helped him with that. And so we were able to combine different aspects of what our system can do in order to create a virtual show. And this has staying power. Zach still has access to our scheduling calendar. So if somebody comes in and this is a better option, he can go in there and schedule it. And then we know that, all right, Zach's coming in, he's bringing a group. And so this will be long lasting well after the end of the grant. So all of this is to say that we are not only astronomy, we love astronomy, and if you have something that ties in, we are there for you in that sense. But we are also here for you to help discover how you can use this technology for your own goals. So last slide that I have is just, we don't have a super formal process around any of this, but if you want to email me, that's my email. I would really encourage you to just set up an appointment to come down and hang out, because none of these pictures does an immersive environment justice. And really, if you come down, we start talking, we bring things up, we start brainstorming, and that's how our best projects come to be, is someone emailed me and came down and we had fun in the dome for an hour. So please do that. I rarely say no to things because it's a lot of fun to see what our system could really do. That's what I got.
Thanks, Shannon. Yeah, and I can say it is fun to work with Shannon. They have, she's got a lot of cool experience, and definitely the technology over there is fun. So, and it's amazing. Again, like she said, doesn't do it justice until you get in there and see it. So I do encourage you to go check it out. All right, next up we have Erika from MSU Extension.
Well, hey, everybody, welcome. And so excited to be here today to talk to you a little bit about MSU Extension. So a little bit about MSU Extension. We actually have over 600 staff that are located statewide, that are located in all 83 counties in the state. And it's a unique arm of Michigan State University to really provide research-based information into the communities. And so what do people who are typically writing grants doing is they would like to actually work with people. And I'm here to say that Extension is your source of support to really be able to connect in locally in communities to be able to do that. So just a little bit about Extension. So my institute, or the group that I work with, is our Children and Youth Institute. And that is a group that is really focused around two areas: early childhood education. So we do parenting education, as well as our 4-H youth development program, which is 5 to 19 years of age, and then special needs populations up to the age of 26. Our 4-H program works with around 200,000 youth throughout the state each year, and have around 20,000 volunteers that we work with to be able to work with those kids on a daily basis. And so that is really truly one of the power of being able to work with Extension, is really having that resource and that extension into those communities. We also have 3 other institutes. So there is the Healthy Nutrition Institute, which provides a statewide health delivery system, providing nutrition-based education in communities. One of the things that they provide is the SNAP Ed program, which provides nutritional assistance through a federally based program to be able to do that. They also do a variety of additional programs around food safety and many other types of healthy nutrition programs, thinking about social emotional wellness, as well as a variety of other food and nutrition programming. We also have, through our Community Food and the Environment Institute, a business startup, tech transfer and product development through Product Center. And really what this does is allows people to be able to do entrepreneurship education, be able to start up businesses. And again, another opportunity in that way as well. And then we also provide rapid response for agriculture, human health, and other emergencies. And I think one of the biggest examples that we have is some of the work that we did in Flint around the lead crisis. But much of that is through our Ag and Agribusiness Institute, as well as our Health and Nutrition Institute. We do have experts throughout the entire state, and we have been in existence for over 100 years. Really, that goal is to bring the research-based education from the university into the communities. And so as you're thinking about broader impacts and what your grants can do, Extension can really be a resource for being able to access individuals, access partnerships, and really think about how you can continue to grow and implement your program in communities. We do have future funding growth from philanthropy, partnerships, and competitive external funding. And so much of our particular budget is actually funded by grants as well as having a local, state, and federal partnership in communities. One of the things that I like to say is a lot of times our local staff, so we are in all 83 counties in the state, and our county offices are located in county departments. And so we have those local community connections. In many senses, we also are a nonprofit in that community, so have access to partners and individuals. But Extension can really be a part of the research cycle for you. So we can help you identify community information and needs. Many of our staff have local needs assessments and really understand what the needs of those communities are. And that's really how we drive the local programming that we do in communities. We can help you develop outreach and engagement plans and really think about how you can extend some of your research and information into that community. Again, I mentioned we can connect you to partners, and this can be as a part of the recruitment into studies, or if you're going to think about focus groups and you need access to individuals to really think about helping you identify the needs that you're going to identify in your grant. We've assisted in the past with clinical trials and even thought about citizen science through either volunteer recruitment and training. We also have assisted with evaluation of outreach, as well as the development and delivery of curriculum, training, tools, and resources. Now, one of the things that I did want to mention, and actually Denice started this at the beginning, is the fact that starting early is key. If you're interested in working with a particular community, let's say that you want to target Flint or Detroit, or you want to work in rural communities throughout the state, connect with our staff as soon as you possibly can, and then we can help identify what might need to be in that grant application, or what resources may assist to be able to help your grant move even forward, even further. We can also be a part of the process, and really, again, looping us in as early as possible can help with that. Now, one of the examples I wanted to share, which I think gives a really good example. So we're working with Dr. Barbara Thompson with Pediatrics and Human Development through the College of Human Medicine. And she actually reached out to some of our staff where we are working with them on a multi-site 2-year project funded by the Pecori Institute, where MSU was one of the sites, as well as the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. And the third site is leading the project is University of British Columbia. What they were really interested in is they are adapting an existing toolkit based on stakeholder feedback for engaging individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families in research. And so one of the things that they needed is they needed families who really represented this particular population, as well as stakeholders in the community that they could connect with as well. And so one of the things that we're doing is one of our staff that's located in Northern Michigan, her whole part of her position, it's actually 20% of her position, funded for a couple of years, is really to go out and recruit stakeholders, recruit families, recruit partners to be able to have access to these focus groups and be able to participate to provide the stakeholder feedback. So I wanted to give that example just to say that that's a boots on the ground approach to be able to carry out that grant forward. And again, it's a great partnership opportunity. It allows us to be the face of Michigan State University in that community and be able to get out Michigan State's research as well as be a good partner in helping to recruit families to further science along. So if anybody is interested in connecting with Extension, please feel free. I will put my email in the chat. I'll also put our website in the chat as well. I'm happy to talk with you. And if you're not interested in children and youth, but you're interested in any of the other institutes, happy to provide any information or pass information along for my colleagues as well. So thank you very much for the time today.
Yeah, thank you, Erika. It's amazing how broad your reach is. I knew you were in all counties, but it's amazing when you see and you talk so much about the connectedness. All right, next up we have Michelle Word from the Broad Art Museum.
Afternoon, everyone. I also have a colleague with me, Breonna, who's going to talk a little bit as well. So the MSU Broad Art Museum is still fairly new on the campus. We are celebrating 10 years, but I mentioned that we're still fairly new because, you know, we are a space that is really interested in collaborating and working across campus. We have tried lots of things, and following Extension is a good one. You know, you all, they are great collaborators because we just did some stuff with them, and the reach across the whole state is very true. But it also means, you know, that we are still fairly new, that we're trying lots of things and really open to experimentation. So Breonna, you are here, right?
Yep, I'm here.
Hi, Breonna. So Breonna, you want to introduce yourself? I'm the director of education at the museum, and Breonna has a unique position that is designed to really connect to campus as well.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I'm Breonna Dinkins, and I'm the academic programs coordinator at the Broad. My focus is working with students, but I also help with different outreach to local communities and bringing guest speakers in for different programs. And so that involves like a lot of, you know, asking people, hey, do you want to be involved in this, and connecting people. Interdisciplinary connections are kind of what we're really interested in doing, and seeing how everyone's goals kind of align and how we can all be part of the conversation. It's not just centered on, you know, art. It can be a lot of different things, and there's a lot of conversations that go into this, to thinking about art as well.
I like that Breonna mentions interdisciplinary. So I think sometimes faculty think that our focus will be, you know, showing art, and that's kind of this closed circle, but it's not. Art touches, you know, every discipline that you can possibly think about. It's a really great way to communicate and to bring together people across disciplines to talk about some of the, you know, biggest issues of our time. There are 2 exhibitions that are featured in the pictures here. One of them is called Seeds of Resistance. And, you know, that's an example where you can see a lot of large conversations across campus, being able to be a part of that show. So that featured artist work who are looking at seeds, at seed diversity, at environmental issues, thinking about agriculture. And in that exhibition, we were also connecting to many different departments and experts on faculty to help amplify their research alongside talking and sharing the research of these artists. So, there's a lot of opportunity to build partnerships. Bria, there's another exhibition focused here too that maybe shows another way that we could connect.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the other one is Persister, and that ended a few months back, basically focusing on the stories of 30 incarcerated women from Louisiana, esteemed the prison capital of the world. And so, those incarcerated women were partnered with like artists who then were inspired kind of by their stories and what they were sharing, and then created work of arts from that. And the kind of results of that was the exhibition. There were a lot of different cross-departmental collaborations with that. We had 29 faculty members involved on campus, faculty not from MSU involved, a number of community partners as well that were not just responsible for helping with the execution of the exhibition, but also a number of programs that were happening on campus at the museum and off. And again, being in this conversation about larger issue of mass incarceration in the US and beyond. And of course, thinking about the histories and the social histories of that. So again, it's very different than Seeds, but another opportunity to see what kind of interdisciplinary connections we can make. We had professors from the law school to English, and there are lots of different ways to be part of that conversation, whether it's again through programs or through helping with the exhibition, providing research and perspectives with that. Or just bringing a class to tour. So there are lots of different ways to engage, but of course, those longer term engagements that come from the inception of the exhibition are ways that how we can incorporate other people's research to further the scholarship in our exhibitions as well.
And you'll also notice on the screen a little gallery shot that has some kids in it. So I will mention, our audience a little bit. So we are connected very much to the MSU community, and then also, within the Tri-County area, working a lot with schools, especially the Lansing School District. And, we would be able to help connect to students in the school district and doing a lot of family programs as well. There's also an image of a teacher program here, and we are connected to teachers also, and frequently collaborate with others on campus to offer teacher training programs. And again, that is a really interesting moment because it's a way that you can share your research with the people who are teaching kids, right? So it like expands, we may be able to reach a certain number of kids, but when we reach teachers, that's exponential, right? So to note the timeline that people have said before, the museum tends to plan on a 3 to 5 year planning cycle. So right now, we know what we're doing for the next couple of years. The really exciting collaborations do come when we're able to go a little further out. That's when we have potential to think about how, together there's space to create new scholarship. On shorter timelines, I think we are able to do things within the programming space. But if we were looking at collaborations that were more connected to, exhibitions, that takes a much longer time frame. Anything we didn't say, Bria?
No, I think that covered it. But I guess the only thing I would add is just, at any given time we're there are multiple exhibitions we're planning. And so there could be lots of different things that could be really good in the intersectional interests. And yeah, we love the big community exhibitions we do where we can get like 100 partners if possible. So yeah, that's what I would add. But that's it.
Well, thank you, Michelle and Bria, for being here. And it truly is interesting and inspirational to see the interdisciplinarity of what you do. And I encourage people who are not necessarily thinking about incorporating something having to do with art to think about this and how you might do something a little bit different connected to your science-focused project. It could be an interesting way to broaden things. All right, so next I will be representing the MSU Museum, and I am our Broader Impacts Coordinator for the museum. So I'll tell you a little bit first about us. We are the University's Science and Culture Museum, and we were established in 1857, which is just 2 years after MSU itself was founded. We're one of the oldest museums in the Midwest and also a Smithsonian affiliate. So we have a number of interesting things that we're able to do related to that relationship. We do a lot with our university community, working with faculty, students, and staff. We also have connections to the local community where we do things with pre-K-12 schools, also in the other areas like community organizations. And we actually have research and teaching connections globally. So there are a lot of things at any given time happening at the MSU Museum. And we have experience going back at least 6 or 7 years, probably longer, on broader impacts projects, things that I could point to and say that we've done. And we've been privileged to work with a number of different faculty members in different areas. So it's been interesting and motivational to us as well. These projects serve a purpose, of course, with you being able to communicate your science and your research to different audiences, but it's also interesting for us as a partner to be able to learn from what you're doing and to be able to expand the way that we think about things too. Every piece that we put together helps us move forward in our ways of thinking and different viewpoints and so forth. So it's inspirational for us to work with faculty members as well on these projects. So just as a little bit of background, we've done a number of different kinds of project types. We have done activity modules where a faculty member will create modules that can go out into a community center or into a school where visitors can come up and engage with a single activity, and then there might be multiple examples of the modules in a space. And we actually have one of those on display right now at the museum. So if you're interested, you could stop by and see that. So there are ways that you could put things in spaces that it doesn't necessarily need to be a full-blown exhibit. But we have done those as well. The picture that you see on the lower left-hand corner is from an exhibit on called the Social Brain Drain, where we had neuroscientists working with our mammologist here at the museum and thinking about brain size and the different ways that animals interact with each other. So that was a very interesting project. In the middle, you see RoboFish, which was fun. We had a fish that people could guide with a touch screen and make it swim around a giant tank of water in the ground floor of our museum, which made our curators and exhibits people very nervous, but it worked well, and no water got anywhere, and people had a ton of fun with RoboFish. We've also done a lot with K-12 educational or outreach programs. So as Michelle and Bria were just pointing out, it's possible for us to help connect you to a K-12 school or a classroom, working with the different people at the schools to help you take your project into that community. So those are things that are possible as well. We just had someone do something with RNA and teaching a high school biology class using VR technology during the pandemic. It got a little bit derailed because we had to do it in a virtual environment, so they weren't able to do VR, but we switched over to AR and had the students use Google Cardboards, and they were still able to get the content and experience some of what the lab had developed as part of their broader impacts using the Google Cardboard. So being flexible, but it worked, and it was interesting and good for those high school students. And then finally, we have our Science on a Sphere program that we can work with. I don't know how many of you have gotten a chance to see Science on a Sphere. It's an amazing technology from NOAA. It's a digital visualization system where we have 4 projectors that project onto a spherical screen for you, so you can show different data sets that come from NOAA, the things that many of the people are doing in Broader Impacts Project. We have at least 3 right now. We have a couple more that have been proposed that we're waiting to hear about the results, to use Science on a Sphere to create custom data sets or custom animations related to the research that people are doing. So that's a really interesting way to be able to connect. So I'd also like to be able to show you, this is our new website that we just developed for the museum for Broader Impacts to help you learn more about what we can do to help you. So if you just go to museum.msu.edu/broader-impacts, or just go to our website and type in Broader Impacts, you'll be able to see some of the new things. We have a little bit about Broader Impacts here, a little picture of RoboFish. And then if you go all the way down to the bottom, we have this menu of choices. So you can go and read more about Broader Impacts. You can read about planning your project, some of the stories from people who have worked with us in the past and who are working with us now, and then more resources and a way that you can contact us directly. For now, I'd just like to showcase the Planning Your Project page. So this has the outline, the timeline that we suggest for people. Again, talking about planning early and working with us throughout the whole process. So some information about the timeline. And then we also have this wonderful Broader Impact Service menu. So you can go here and see some suggested projects based on things that we have done in the past, estimates about project duration, intended audience, complexity level, like how much involvement is it going to take to make this happen, and then some estimates about the pricing for some of these things. Because as I said in the introduction, sometimes it's hard to develop a budget, and some things are very specific to what you're doing, and we would just have to work on that individually, but these are some guidelines to help you. So we offer exhibits in technology, including Science on a Sphere, museum educational programs, and then something that we've only done once or twice, but that I would love to do again, professional development and boot camps, either for MSU faculty members or MSU students, focused on your research concepts and what you're doing. So if we had a chance to do that with someone, that would be a very interesting thing for us. So that's just a little bit about us and the way that we can do it. This is Science on a Sphere here, actually, in the header image. If you haven't gotten a chance to see it, I encourage you to come over and take a look. It's on first floor gallery, and it's quite an interesting and versatile technology. So it's, again, a great possibility for what you're doing or just interesting to come and see. So if you do have questions, you can contact me through my email, or you can go to the contact page on the new website. All right. So that concludes our introduction to the presenters, and thank you to everyone for sharing the information, and hopefully you've all gotten a wonderful overview. I'm always amazed at the resources and ability of everyone here at MSU. We have so much available to us, and just this short overview gives you the sense of all the different things that you could do with these partners. So thank you to everyone. And what we are going to do now is go into our breakout sessions, or what we're calling our speed dating. We do have a smaller group than anticipated today, but we're still going to give you about 20 minutes to go into the different rooms, 20 to, well, we're at 1:55. So let's say we'll give you until about 2:15, and then we'll come back into this room. And you have the ability to move in and out of the breakout rooms as you will. And you can go in, say, talk to Shannon for a little bit, and then go talk to Zach for a little bit, and go around, get a chance to say hello to everyone, or you can have a more extensive conversation if you would like. So does anyone in the audience have questions before we allow you to move into the breakout rooms? You can feel free to unmute yourself and ask your questions, since we're a small group. All right, no questions. So we will open the breakout rooms now. And of course, presenters, you're going to need to move yourself into your breakout room. So they're all labeled according to your unit name. So go ahead and take advantage of this opportunity to talk, and we'll see you back in the main room at 2:15. Well, we'll give people just another couple. All right, thank you so much. I hope that was a valuable experience for you. I know it was a good chance to have some good conversation. in our breakout room, and hopefully it was the same for all of you. So now we have a chance to do some wrap up and questions and answers with all of our presenters together. So since we have a small group, again, please feel free to just go ahead and unmute and ask your question. And I'll open it up now so you can ask whatever you would like. Doing the teacher waiting time here, make sure. All right, so while perhaps some of our participants are thinking of things, Zach, would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, Erika, when you were talking about communicating with all these different communities all over the state, and you're talking about training people, I'm really interested in that. I've been thinking about, we're always looking for ways to get other people to tell other people about what we're doing, since we don't contact everybody. And we talked about it's been brought up, right, that anytime you talk to teachers and you can get them interested, that is just this incredible multiplication of effort, which is great. Do you have people do you have any examples of other people who've done that kind of work?
Yeah, so I can tell you a little bit. So that's actually part of our 4-H model from our inception, is really kind of building a volunteer base. So much of what we do, at least within our 4-H development program, is youth development education. So typically what we say is, if we try to find people who are passionate experts in communities on particular topics. And we do have resources that we provide them as well. But a huge kind of piece, at least from our youth development end of things, is really recruiting volunteers to be able to go work in the local community. One of the things that we often say is that in a community, we may only have 1 or 2 staff members, or we may not have that specialization in that community, but if we can recruit a core of volunteers, that can really help provide that information. So we have a pretty, I would say, intensive volunteer screening process. If anyone's interested in setting that up, happy to kind of help and think about that. What we do, we have gold and silver volunteers, depending on the type of engagement of working with our youth, to make sure that we're pairing our kids with people who have been properly screened. But yeah, we do a variety of education. Much of the education that we do is ensuring that our volunteers are armed with the correct information and appropriate resources. And then, a lot of you have talked about, and we always try to engage. So one of the big things that we have each summer is called Exploration Days. So it's a 3-day camp on campus. It's a pre-college event program where we bring kids and volunteers to campus, and they engage in workshops and information. And many of you are actually sites for a lot of our education that's happening. We try to connect to research-based education as well in that way as well too. But I don't know if I answered your questions, but I'd be happy to talk with you more about what that looks like, and can provide some information on that.
Thanks, Erika.
Okay. Other questions or presenters? Would you like to just maybe highlight something that came up in one of your breakout sessions so that everyone can hear? Anything else that we should share?
Well, this wasn't highlighted in the breakout session, but I just want to say, every time I do a session like this, I'm reminded about all the wonderful resources on this campus that sometimes we forget about. And so I just think just connecting with each other sometimes, there's just so many cool opportunities, and doing it on your own, yeah, you can make an impact, but connecting with each other is so huge. So, I just think anytime that you can connect with others, like-minded individuals, the benefit is so much greater in what we can do in the community. So just reflection, if nothing else.
That's sort of a nice segue into something I was going to share later on, Erika, but I will share it now. There is a wonderful new website that was developed in collaboration with University Outreach and Engagement. It's called visitlearn.msu.edu. And this has listed all of the informal learning venues on campus that are listed and by their area, STEM, social science, art, literacy, humanities, and other topics. Also, you can search by grade level or audience type. But if you go here, it also has all of the venues are all listed. So you can see Again, all those people, all those resources that are available on campus with links to their web pages. So most of the people, I think all the people who are on this workshop today are listed here. So I encourage you to check out this new website, Visit Learn, and to share it with other people when you're talking about the vastness of what's available here. And thank you again to University Outreach and Engagement for helping us to produce this fabulous website.
Denise, should we mention IVI too while we're at it?
Yes, please do.
So I'm grabbing the link real quick, but Denise and I, along with the 360 room at the museum, or at the library, sorry, we do a summer institute that's a week long for graduate students and faculty in order to sort of explore pedagogy around immersive environments. So this includes the 360 room, the planetarium, and the science on a sphere. And we just made the announcement, and applications are open with the idea is that you learn something and then you have a project or a curriculum that comes out of it in terms of teaching. So there's more information there. I just dropped it into the chat, but this is a great opportunity to maybe start thinking about and exploring projects that could eventually turn into a broader impacts piece as well.
Yes, so definitely share what you've learned today with your colleagues, we hope, and your students who also may be in the situation where you're mentoring them in the proposal process. We're definitely happy to have meetings and to share with them some of the same things that we've talked about today. And also just another word that I know there are upcoming workshops, I think a couple more through this series. UOE also can provide resources all the time about broader impacts. So make sure that you're connecting with them for help. Also, there are lots of other resources online, as we said, that you can look and get things from NSF. So one of the best pieces of advice I would give is, don't struggle. Try to connect with people who have been through this process before and can help you. Definitely. Right. Any other questions from our participants? Comments, final comments from our presenters? All right, well, thank you so much to everyone. This has been fantastic. We are just so thankful that you were able to join us today. And again, we look forward to hearing from you and wish you a wonderful rest of your day.